Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into, well, it's an extraordinary true story from way back in 1897. We're talking Greenbrier, West Virginia, a case that really blurs the lines of justice, challenges how we even think about evidence. It's actually the only American trial where a court seriously considered testimony from the deceased.
From a ghost.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And not just because of the supernatural claim, but really how personal conviction, a mother's intuition, could push the boundaries of the legal system. It makes you ask, right? What happens when the dead supposedly refuse to stay silent? What counts as evidence then?
Exactly. So our story, this chilling story, it starts with Zona Heister. She was born in 1876, Greenbrier Mountains, described as shy, charming, but her early life, it wasn't easy. There was this heavy social stigma. Her mother, Mary Jane Heister, very religious woman, she arranged a marriage for Zona, but the man, well, he was already married, had a child.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It was brief, ill-fated, left Zona pregnant, abandoned at just 18, and the baby's fate. It's a bit of a mystery. Rumored to have died, maybe given away. So Zona was kind of seen as single again, but always with that community judgment hanging over her.
And you have to think about the time period. That vulnerability, especially for an unmarried mother, it was immense. It really put her in a precarious position. Sadly, it's a pattern we see in historical domestic violence cases. Women often lacked protection, agency.
Definitely sets the stage. Then, September 1896, this newcomer arrives, Edward Shue, blacksmith. He was from Pocahontas County. Tall, handsome, very articulate apparently, termed everyone. He meets Zona at the market. Instant attraction. Despite the age gap, she's 19, he's 29, they get married really quickly. October 20th, 1896, moved into a two-story house near her shop. Mary Jane, Zona's mother, she had doubts about the age difference at first, but Edward, he talked around. Persuasive guy. So on the surface, looked like a happy new beginning.
Seemed okay, yeah.
But just 3 months later, January 22nd, 1897, everything falls apart. Edward leaves for work maybe 8:39 a.m. Then around 10 a.m., he sends the neighbor boy, 11-year-old Andrew Jones, over to his house.
Okay.
Tells him, go get some eggs, ask Zona if she needs anything for him at the shop. Promised him 25 cents.
Right.
So Andrew gets there. No eggs in the coop. And the house, just eerily silent. Doors, windows, all shut tight, which is unusual for that time of day. He peeks in a window, knocks, nothing. The front door is unlocked, so he goes in. Still silent. Then he hears this creaking sound upstairs.
Oh boy.
He heads towards the stairs and then he sees it. Blood drops on the kitchen floor, leading right to the bottom of the staircase.
Oh no.
And there she was, Zona, stretched out at the bottom, eyes wide open, just staring. The boy, Andrew, he thought maybe she was alive, tried to wake her.
Of course, yeah. What kid?
But she was cold, those eyes just frozen. Zona was dead. He screamed, ran out, got his mother, Mrs. Jones. Then they ran to the blacksmith shop to tell Edward.
And Edward's reaction.
Appeared totally grief-stricken. Collapsed in shock, rushed home with Mrs. Jones, sees Zona, cradles her body, and then does something. Well, unconventional even then. He carries her upstairs to their bed.
Right. Not standard practice.
No. And then what he did next really raised eyebrows later. He insisted on bathing and dressing Zona himself. Put her in her favorite wedding dress, the one with the high collar and lace. Then put a handkerchief over her face.
Okay, yeah, that's where the alarm bells start ringing loud, forensically speaking.
Yeah.
Preparing the body, that was almost always women's work in the community back then. Him insisting, choosing that specific dress that covers the neck. It's just not typical grief behavior. It feels like controlling the scene, concealing something.
Exactly. So Dr. George Knapp, the local doctor, he gets called. He notices these red and purple marks on the right side of her neck, her cheek. He reaches to undo the high collar just to get a better look, and Edward suddenly yells out, "I didn't wring her neck!"
Wow. Just like that.
It's just like that. Now, Dr. Knapp, he puts it down to grief. Maybe thought the marks were love bites from the night before. Didn't push it.
Convenient explanation.
Right. His first cause of death was syncope, fainting. Then he changed it, noticed some bleeding, amended it to complications from pregnancy or miscarriage. He figured she's only 19, maybe had a tragic accident, lost blood suddenly, fell down the stairs. Case closed, almost.
Almost, but not for the mother.
Not for Mary Jane Heister, no. She was devastated, obviously, but just had this deep unease. And Edward's behavior at the wake, it just made her more suspicious. He's by the coffin, weeping very dramatically, but always positioning himself so nobody could get too close to Zona's body.
Controlling access again.
Yeah, put a pillow under her head, a rolled sheet along her side, like propping her up almost. And most striking, that high-collared scarf. He insisted she wear it, said it was her favorite. She'd want it for the afterlife.
Again, obscuring the neck area, It's a pattern. Any attempt to block examination, especially at a wake, is a massive red flag. He's trying to control the narrative even after death.
So after the funeral, Mary asks Edward for the sheet that was wrapped around Zona in the coffin, as a keepsake.
Common practice.
Right. He refused point blank, which Mary found incredibly odd. She ended up taking home a different sheet that had been used, washed it, and she swore the water turned red.
Chilly.
She took it as a sign, a plea from Zona. It just cemented her belief this wasn't natural. She also remembered thinking Zona's head seemed loose when they moved the coffin, like her neck was broken.
That's a very specific observation for a layperson.
It is, so her suspicions are just growing and growing. Mary turns to prayer, praying desperately for a sign, for something from Zona, and then it happened. 4 weeks after the burial, freezing cold night, Mary wakes up. Intense cold in the room, bone chilling, even though there's a fire going.
Okay.
She lies back down and sees this faint white mist forming at the foot of her bed. Luminous. It slowly takes shape. And it's Zona, her daughter, weeping. Mary's terrified but also desperate. She speaks to it, and the ghost, Zona's ghost, confirms everything. "Mother," she says, weeping, "I did not die by accident. I was murdered by my husband, Edward Shue."
Just directly accuses him.
Directly. And then tells her exactly how it happened. That night, she'd made dinner. Just vegetables, fruits. Edward came home, got furious, demanded meat. Zona said she'd make some for breakfast.
And he snapped.
He snapped, attacked her. She ran upstairs. He caught her, choked her, violently twisted her head, broke her neck, then pushed her down the stairs to make it look like an accident. And the ghost, to prove it, apparently rotated its head unnaturally, showed Mary the break.
Okay, that detail is the core of the supernatural claim, isn't it? The anatomical precision. A violently twisted, broken neck. How would Mary know that specific mechanism of injury without being told by something extraordinary? It's hard to explain away.
Right. Before fading, the ghost pleads, "Help me, Mother, get me justice." Oh, and mention something hidden in the basement. That becomes a minor point later, but wasn't the murder weapon or anything?
Still, another detail supposedly from beyond.
So Mary, convinced now, she writes down every single detail immediately. Next morning, she goes straight to the prosecutor, John Alfred Preston. Now, she knows the ghost story sounds crazy, so she starts smart, focuses on Edward's suspicious actions, the marks on Zona's neck, builds her case logically first.
Smart move. Establish the concrete suspicions.
Then she tells him about the ghost, the visitation, the detailed confession, the whole thing. And Preston, he listens. Despite how wild it sounds, there were enough inconsistencies, enough suspicious stuff already, he reopens the case.
Bold move by the prosecutor, really, ordering an exhumation based partly on a ghost story.
Yeah, and it wasn't easy. People in town were spooked, didn't want to disturb a grave, feared bad luck,
Understandable superstition for the time.
Preston basically had to threaten legal action to get a team together. So March 9th, 1897, they exhume Zona's body. And because it was winter, she was actually remarkably well preserved.
The cold helped, yeah.
The autopsy happens at the local schoolhouse, Nickel Schoolhouse. Open to the public, Edward Shue was there, reluctantly. One witness later claimed they heard Edward whispering nearby, something like, "I know I'll get caught one day, but they can't prove it. I hid everything."
If true, that's incredibly damning.
Right. Dr. Knapp is there with 2 other doctors. They do the second autopsy. Check the stomach for poison first. Nothing. Then they turn to the neck. And as they do, Edward gets visibly agitated. Twitching, mumbling.
He knows what they're going to find.
They find it. Zona's neck was absolutely broken. First and second cervical vertebrae C1 and C2 fractured, ligaments torn, exactly consistent with a violent twist, strangulation, plus clear finger marks on her throat.
There it is. The physical proof.
Undeniable. Edward's arrested right then and there. Murder. He denies everything, of course, but the evidence, it's overwhelming.
And that connection back to the ghost's alleged testimony. The C1, C2 fracture detail. It's not just a broken neck. It's a specific, complex injury. For Mary, with no medical knowledge, to apparently get that right, that's the crux of the mystery, isn't it? It gave her story so much weight.
It really did. The trial starts June 30th, 1897. Preston leads with the forensics, Edward's behavior, all the suspicious stuff. He even has testimony from Edward's cellmate. Said Edward showed zero remorse, was cocky, thought they couldn't prove anything.
Arrogant.
Totally. The defense tries to counter, of course. Says maybe the neck broke in the fall during a miscarriage, or maybe the wagon ride to the cemetery was rough.
Standard defense tactics introduced doubt. But those specific injuries, C1, C2 fractures, torn ligaments, finger marks, that points much more strongly to violence, not an accident or bumpy ride.
Right. Then, the key moment, Mary Jane Heister insists on testifying. She gets up there, recounts the whole story, the ghost, the message, the murder details, the neck demonstration, tells it with such conviction, such sincerity. The courtroom was apparently captivated. Many people were deeply moved.
You can imagine the scene.
The defense tries to tear her down, obviously, paints her as grieving, delusional, maybe just hated Edward and made it all up.
The logical counter-argument. But was there ever any suggestion she might have learned the details elsewhere? Or influenced the doctors?
That's a fair question. Skeptics definitely raise it, but historically there's no solid evidence she influenced the autopsy.
What's interesting, though, is that at least one juror had been present at the autopsy. He apparently found Mary's testimony disturbingly consistent with what he'd seen with his own eyes. So for him, at least, the physical evidence seemed to back up her seemingly impossible knowledge. It made the supernatural claim feel validated by fact.
Yeah. And Preston had another ace up his sleeve. He didn't just rely on the ghost. He dug into Edward's past. Found out his real name wasn't Edward Shue. It was Erasmus Stribling Trout Shue. He'd changed it.
Hiding something.
Exactly. He'd been married twice before Zona. First wife, Ellen Callicote, divorced him in 1888. Why? His violent behavior. Second wife, Lucy Twitt, died mysteriously just 6 months after marrying Edward in 1894. Cause of death unknown.
Oh, come on.
Happened on an icy stream. She was pregnant. Rumors flew that he had hit her with a brick, staged it as a fall.
Pattern emerging.
Big time. Plus, he had a criminal record, horse theft, larceny, did 2 years in prison, and while inside, get this, he reportedly talked about wanting 7 wives.
Okay, wow, that really paints a picture. So it wasn't just the ghost story. You have the pattern of violence, the name change, the suspicious deaths, the specific forensic evidence matching the ghost's very specific claim. It all converged. The ghost story might have been the catalyst, but the concrete evidence against him was piling up significantly. It established motive, opportunity, and a history of violence.
Absolutely. So, July 8th, 1897. The jury comes back. Guilty, murder, sentenced to life in prison. His appeal. Denied immediately. And that's how it became history. The first and only time in U.S. legal history where ghost testimony was seen to have swayed a jury.
A landmark case, no matter how you interpret the spectral element.
After the trial, things got tense. A vigilante mob actually formed, wanted to lynch Edward.
Not surprising, given the crime.
Authorities had to protect him during the prison transfer. He didn't last long inside, though. Died just 2 years later, 1900, during an epidemic. Buried in an unmarked grave right there in Greenbrier.
A dark end for a man shrouded in violence and deception. But it does leave that lingering question, doesn't it? How much was the supernatural and how much was solid detective work, maybe kickstarted by a mother who simply refused to accept the official story? It's that fascinating intersection of belief and hard evidence.
Definitely. And the legend of the Greenbrier ghost, it lives on. It's part of American folklore now. Mary Jane Heister. She stuck to her story until the day she died in 1916, insisted she told the truth about Zona's ghost. So, what do you think? Did a ghost really reach out from beyond the grave to catch a killer? Or was it a mother's fierce love, her intuition, her absolute refusal to let it go that ultimately pieced together the truth? Maybe the ghost story was the only way she felt she could be heard.
Either way, justice was served.
A killer was caught. It's a chilling story, however you look at it. We hope this deep dive into the Greenbrier ghost case kept you, maybe looking over your shoulder just a little. Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this story, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Doc. We've got plenty more true crime and supernatural tales coming your way. Until next time, take care and maybe sleep with a light on tonight.